Welcome to Pomeroy's Logistics Center, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. For those who are watching today, we normally would be following our COVID-19 protocol with masks in place, but because this is a virtual tour and for clarity's sake, we will be removing them occasionally throughout the sessions. So just wanted you to be aware of that. For those who haven't had an opportunity to visit our logistics center or our facilities here, we're located in Hebron, Kentucky, about 10 miles from downtown Cincinnati and about a mile away from the Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky International Airport. Today we will be presenting you into the different facets of our operations for product services. There are four main pillars of product services. Those pillars include the asset disposition operation, the integration operation, our depot repair services operation, and our logistics operation. We will get in more detail as we go through each session, but for now, we are going to walk you through and introduce you to our tour guides today. Tour guide Ray Luther. Ray Luther is in charge of two of those pillars that we talked about, the integration services and the asset recovery. Jeff Ellis is here as a guest today with us, our director and manager, and I am Dick Gregoire, the director of operations for product services. So as we get going today, Ray Luther, though, will describe to you, if you were physically here today, what you would have to go through our security operation, because it's very near and dear to us. And we want you to experience that same feeling as we would for anyone who visits our facility, and coming through security from entry, exit, and monitoring while you're in our entire facility.
All right, so let's take a little bit of a walk. I'll walk you over to the induction point of the warehouse. As we walk over here, every employee is subjected to security, and we really look at security a couple different ways. We look at security from an obvious safety and security perspective, but we also look at our security from a inventory management perspective, kind of a last line, first line of defense from inventory management. As you can see, every employee, visitor, customer who would walk into our environment would be subjected to walking through a magnetometer. They would have to declare the items that were in their pockets, both incoming and outgoing. If they were to beat, security has the option to ask them to declare the items that are in their pockets or could be remaining in their pockets. If they walk through again and they're unable to make it through, security does have the ability and will use a hand wand to focus in on the areas where they feel there may be an issue. This is important because a lot of the technologies that we support in this environment, similar to what we're being filmed on today, employees have in their pocket. Everybody has technology in their pocket. So we want to make sure that your inventory and every other client's inventory is safe and secure inside our environment. If you were here on the tour, you would be monitored throughout the facility. We have cameras that you would be able to see and some that you wouldn't be able to see. And that's another line of defense as far as inventory management, safety, and security goes.
So now we're going to be walking you through our operation. The first thing we're going to talk about is our inventory management system, which is Oracle-based. And we will also talk about process flow and how orders get through our system. So as Steve is walking with the camera over here, I want to tell you that 98% of all of our inventory is dedicated to or assigned to a client. As such, we have to dedicate these clients with a special prefix, and that prefix follows them all the way through their entire inventory. So by that, we would relabel every piece of equipment that comes in the door, because we may have 100 clients that use the same OEM piece of equipment. Now, there are two main types of inventory that we have, and those inventories are customer-owned inventory, where they would purchase directly from Pomeroy and bring it in to us. We would use it on a consignment basis, bring it in, and put it into our Oracle management system as CO in front of the prefix of the client. Then the second type of inventory is customer pre-owned inventory, where you, as the client, decide to purchase directly from the OEM or a vendor and bring it into our facilities. It comes in at $0 because you owned it and you pre-owned it. So we put a PI prefix in front of the prefix that's assigned to the client. Now, we will get asked a lot of times, how can I see my inventory in your Oracle database? Well, our IT department has created an Edge portal where you could come in and take a look at your inventory, all of your inventory based on your specific ID number. So that allows a client, and we have several clients that want to control their own inventory. There's some clients that want Pomeroy to control their inventory on a min-max basis. So we will handle that for them on that basis as well. Now, there are also situations where clients would say, hey, can you segregate from everybody else's? We're a unique company and we have to have our stuff segregated. The answer to that is absolutely we can. But because Oracle and the database in the warehouse management system is prefix loaded, then we can only pick those prefixes for that client and that client only. So the chances of being picked for another client is very, very slim to none. And in fact, we have not had that happen in 20 years. So the answer is yes, we can do that if you'd like to. It comes at a little price, but we can segregate that out as needed. So those are the two main types of inventory that we have in our system. Everything is RF technology, so radio frequency. Everything that we do in our operation is picked with an RF gun, and basically once an order drops into pick for your product, the picker can actually take the pick ticket and not even use it anymore. He follows the gun and the gun takes him in all to the locations to pick all of the products. There may be 23, 25 line items on that pick ticket. There may be 2. But most of the pick tickets that we have in our operation here are going to have value-added services performed on them. And that's where Ray's team and the integration center comes in, because without value-added services, we would normally just drop ship to a client site. All the value-added services are here. The logistics side of the business, which we'll go through in a little bit, but we're going to go see the asset disposition first. That is also an area where we can do special packaging, special labeling, data capture, bundling, kitting, etc. And I want to talk a little bit about this because it happens a lot in the financial sector, and that is a branch in a box and a teller in a box. We are asked a lot of times, can you get us 1 pallet worth of equipment or 2 pallets into the location in the middle of the night? We want to install it. We want to do this. Yes, that's what our specialty is. That's what we do. And then there are times when we label it. Teller 1, Teller 2, Teller 3, or VP, or etc. We will do that and have done that with several financial institutions in the past. The retail side of the business is very heavy on that because they have a lot of franchisees and they're small places. I can name them, the Subways, the KFC, and etc. They have small places. They want everything all in 1 pallet, 1 box. That's it, and put it on the shelf. So that's what we'll do for them. So, Ray, I'm going to kind of let you take over and show them how we do this.
Dick spoke about holding inventory, customer-specific inventory for clients. I just wanted to point out kind of an example of what Dick talks about. We do go through the effort to relabel product as it comes in the building for several different reasons. Number 1, to segregate that pool of inventory for a specific client. Number 2, it also specifies the financial terms that the product was brought in on. It was either customer pre-owned or it was purchased from Pomeroy and converted to a customer-owned SKU. We fully understand that every customer is likely getting a different deal from the OEM or the supplier that they're working with. So we need to make sure from a serial number perspective and from an item number perspective that we're only capturing and selling the items that we brought in for that particular client or that the client had sent to us, because there will be warranty terms, rebates, and things like that that are attached to the product itself. In this example, you can see this is customer pre-owned inventory. This is our customer prefix just behind that. And as you look a little bit further out, there's the OEM item number, a description. It also has the date that we received it on, the PO it was received against, and who received that product. And we place those 1x4 labels on every piece of product. Also, through our operation, when we get to our pack out, our final QA and packaging operation, you may see different colored labels that we've applied that are similar to this label. We do that to call out items like asset tags, MAC addresses, and other specific data sets that clients want to capture and report. And we do that in a more visual fashion for our pack-out team. So we might use a hot pink label, and our teams know that that hot pink label is an attribute that they need to capture off of that device. So I think we're going to take a little walk through the warehouse, through the 170,000 square feet, and kind of give you the lay of the land. We're going to walk back towards our asset disposition operation. As we walk, I'll let you know that we have about 6,400 to 6,500 locations. They're a combination of both rack and floor locations. From our perspective, if we can rack it, that's great. That's a space saver. If we're unable to rack it, then we will place it in bulk rows and handle it that way. All of our locations are labeled. All of our locations are neatly kept, and we try to keep the SKU count in the location as small as possible, although Oracle does help us manage multiple items in a location.
We have a section over here that we actually have challenges that we've had in the past from clients. And we like to say, in all essence, when a client comes to us with a request for a solution, we probably have seen 75% of that solution with some other client at some other time. And probably the last 25% is the customized part of it for that new client that wants us to do X or Y or Z, etc. So some of the challenges, some of the solutions that we came up with, and we want to keep our people reminded that these are the things that they helped us come up with to solve clients' requests and needs. So we keep it visible. It's in the main aisle, and everybody has to go by it every time that they come in and out of work.
As we walk down through the warehouse, one of the things that I want to point out as you look at the product that's both in the racks and on the shelf, and also in the bulk rows, is I want you to take a look at the mix of OEM product. We are manufacturer agnostic, and that is one of the reasons why customers do come to Pomeroy as a solution provider, because we are able to aggregate product from different manufacturers, bring them in, and we're able to kit those and bundle those, configure those in a matter that the client wants. So we may take a specific Lenovo or a Dell or an HP device. We may kit that with another vendor's monitor. We may kit that with a case for a laptop, different keyboard, and that speaks to some of the kitting and the bundling capabilities that we have in our operation. But as we walk through, I would like you to take note of the different OEMs and the different products that we have here inside the facility. As Dick mentioned, from a location standpoint, it really does not matter where we place the product in the warehouse. The Oracle WMS is intuitive. It does route the picker. It routes them in a way that they pick the configured products first. And after they pick the configured products, bring them to the integration center. We configure those. There is a second process that is intuitive as well, and we'll route them from the north end of the warehouse, which we're walking towards, back towards the south end. We would prefer, much as anyone that's in this business, to move in one direction from one end of the warehouse to the other, because we do not want to move back. So we want our products to flow from one end of the building to the other, wall to wall. Anytime that you add the prefix re, if we have to restock or repick or do something of that nature, we're adding cost, and we're very conscious of that. So as we walk down to this end of the building, on this end of the building, our north end of the building, this is where a lot of our receiving operations take place. We have several distinct receiving operations in this area. We have finished goods receiving, which is typically pristine new product, either Pomeroy purchased or client owned, that is sent in for the specific purpose of integrating, configuring, performing some type of value-added service, and then shipping out to our clients. We also have a receiving area that you're taking a look at now. And this receiving area is really dedicated to what we call IT asset disposition. Some of the industry may call it brokerage, end of life. This particular activity does fall at the end of the product life cycle, but this product also feeds some of our life cycle services. So don't think of it as just an ending point. It could be a re-beginning for that product. In this area, we receive product that comes back for a client that is deemed no longer useful in a particular area of a company or with a particular end user. We bring that in, we categorize that product, we capture several data attributes off of that product. Some of the standard stuff, item number, model number, serial numbers, but then we also capture things like processor speeds, memory, hard drive size, things of that nature, so we can report that information back to clients. Because in a lot of situations, our clients don't know what they have, and it's our job to let them know. One of the ways that we introduce product back into a client's environment, though, is through redeployment. That's a very popular service that we offer through IT asset disposition. In deployment scenarios, there may be times where you're pulling product out of your environment that is still useful, potentially in another area. Maybe it's useful with another team. So we will bring that product in, we'll capture the attributes, you'll describe to us what you would like us to do with that product, where you would like it redeployed. We'll bring that product in. When we bring that product into the system, it will be flagged as redeployable. We will move that to our integration operation for data wipe. We could potentially move it to our depot operation for cleaning and repair if it needed to happen. And then we can put that product back into a brown box and place it back on the shelf with an item number, and it is reusable, redeployable for our particular clients. Some of the other services that we perform out of IT asset disposition are related to brokerage sale. We can certainly do that for clients. We can bring that product back in. We can wipe that product of data. We can aggregate that product with other clients' product and then sell it on our client's behalf, bring in the proceeds of that sale, and then share in the proceeds of that sale with our clients minus the fees and the freight for the service. We also bring product back for the purposes of lease return. Let's say that you're an as-a-service type customer and using a leasing type model. From a leasing perspective, we can bring all the products back in. We can aggregate them to make sure that nothing is missing, that the product functions, and then we can return that product back to your leasing company on your behalf. We've also done some limited donation services out of this environment, and we certainly work with disposal partners downstream that hold all the applicable certifications for us to be able to dispose of product on a client's behalf. We always have a disposal trailer staged here from our disposal partners. And in that process, we typically send out about 35% of the incoming product will wind up in a disposal stream, but about 65%, and we're really excited about that number because it's remained pretty steady throughout the years. About 65% of the product that's introduced into our asset disposition environment is redeployable or resaleable in some way, shape, or form. We have another receiving operation that I'd like to point out to you. As a part of running a warehouse operation, you will get returns, you will get DOAs, those things will happen on occasion. We do a lot to mitigate that risk, but on occasion you do get that. Over in this area, we do have a returns area where return product comes back. That return product gets received against an RMA, and then we determine the path of that product, whether it's returned back to the OEM, a repair in-house. If it were customer-owned, maybe a return back to the customer. So that is an operation that is just inherent to running a warehouse and logistics operation.
We have a depot repair operation over here, which runs on service requests. Right now, they're operating and bringing in old equipment from closed stores, from closed branches, so to speak, recovering that and determining which area it goes in. Does it go into the depot operation? Will it eventually go into Ray's asset recovery operation, etc.? They will also over here for terms and new hires. So we'll bring product in for clients, making sure that we bring it into the system, put it into the warehouse operation, and then when they get a new hire, it goes out. Or terminations may be that we bring back the product and affect that coming back into our operations. So you get three different functions that are taking place right in this section right here. And then, of course, you have pristine, the finished goods inventory coming in here. One of the things that we're doing with finished goods inventory under COVID-19, and we want everybody to be aware of, that we put a quarantine on incoming product because we have no idea where it's been, who's touched it, etc. So there is a quarantine, especially on the depot repair stuff, because people have touched it in the field, put it in a box and sent it to us. So we're taking every precaution that we can. Ray is going to go over COVID-19 as we get into the integration center, showing you what's listed throughout our operation, but more so in the integration center because of the type of work that they do. you see some of it right here, Steve, and that's 2 sinks. We have these throughout the entire operation, so they don't have to go to the restroom to wash their hands if they're going to break or having something to eat, etc. And not only that, but if they've been touching old product and they feel uncomfortable, they can come right over here and do that.
All of our inventory control functions are on the north end of the building. Obviously, we are counting this inventory pretty vigorously. We do have physical inventories that are either client mandated or are obviously company mandated from a financial perspective. We do have one large physical wall-to-wall physical inventory every year, but we do get requests from clients very frequently to count their specific inventory for financial purposes, for truing up, maybe in the middle of a deployment. We'll have that happen. We have dedicated cycle count teams that start, I think we're starting at what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
4 o'clock in the morning, yes.
4 o'clock in the morning, they will come in and they will count a specific number and set of SKUs based upon some criteria that we have set. And that activity happens every day.
Now you will see that there are some unlit areas in the warehouse, and that is by design. These are green lights, and as soon as someone walks into that aisle, it will light up. And so if you see something that looks awful dark that Steve's taking on that picture, it may be because no one has been in that aisle for a matter of 30 seconds or 45 seconds or so.
We will stop for just a second here because we likely will not come back to this area. But I'd like to walk you through kind of the end of the process. After all the product has been picked, after all the product has been configured, and this is an example of a warehouse pick ticket. We have that here. After all the product has been fulfilled, all the service has been performed, the product will wind up in this area. This area is what we call pack out. This is final quality verification, packing. We have 2 distinct areas. We have this area, which is belted for small parcel shipments. Those small parcel shipments will primarily be shipped with UPS, who is our primary small parcel logistics partner. But we do ship with FedEx every day for clients on client accounts and on Pomeroy accounts. We also have a dedicated bulk area, and I'll kind of walk and turn so you can see that. Think of the bulk area just like this. The only difference is the mode of transportation. The mode of transportation in that area is primarily going to be what we call LTL, less than trailer load, or specialty carrier. We really don't do much trailer load unless there's a specific need for client, but we do a lot of LTL shipping and we do a lot of specialty shipping. The key difference between the two, LTL is more pallet driven and more of an economy based type freight movement system on pallets, whereas the specialty carriers really get into the scenarios where we may need a specific product delivery to a specific floor. Maybe we need to unpackage product prior to taking it in and have the driver deliver it inside. Maybe they don't have a dock and we need to dolly that product in. That's where specialty carriers start to come into play. But we have the ability through our transportation partners to really customize the shipping needs based on our client need for deployment, scheduling, and things of that nature. A lot of scanning done in this area. You can see Jason over here and Matt up here in front of me in the white t-shirt. They are packing product. They are capturing the specific attributes that need to be captured off of that product and making sure that everything that was called out on that pick ticket and order is there in front of them. They're packing that product. They are overpacking that product, and they are sending it away for manifesting at one of the small parcel stations. We try to, in this operation, if the product size allows, we try to overbox as much as we can in a plain brown box. The reason that we do that is these types of technologies, the expense of this product makes them high value targets in the UPS and FedEx supply chain, especially around the holidays. So we want to make sure that wherever we can, especially with laptops, small mobile devices, things like that, we want to make sure we get those in a brown overpack box. We also in this area do a lot of specialized labeling. I'll call it deployment support labeling. What we found through the years through deployments is that a little bit of labeling in this environment can facilitate a speedier deployment on site, dictating where it goes in a building, dictating the end user that it's going to, maybe dictating the department that it's going to. Open me first documents. Don't install until documents. We have all of that capability in this environment and do that pretty much every day for our clients. Yep, put that back. Facility, again, we're going to walk past our bulk shipping operation, again, primarily LTL. Our LTL carriers tend to pick up in the 4 to 7 o'clock time frame Eastern every day. UPS, our first pull with UPS is at 7:30 in the evening for ground and air products. But due to our proximity to Cincinnati, the airport, and also to Louisville's Worldport, we are able at times to get more favorable pickup terms, especially for air products, because Louisville is 90 minutes down the road to Worldport. And at that Worldport facility, if we ship directly there, we're able to have that product scanned and placed on a plane pretty expeditiously. So it's allowed us at certain times to be able to extend our cutoff times for clients and get a later air pull for their products if we need to do that. Additionally, from a UPS perspective, we have some terms with UPS that will allow us for certain clients to be able to have product picked up on a Saturday and treat it as though it was picked up on Friday. So your overnight delivery term would actually be Monday morning, which is pretty advantageous for us. One of the areas that we use that with is this particular area over here. This is a depot that we run for a very specific client. All of this product belongs to that particular client. We have very stringent SLAs and cutoffs with this client, which is in specialty retail. We work every Saturday for this client from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, and every piece of product that we ship on Saturday will be delivered to that client in an overnight fashion on Monday if that mode of transportation is selected. So again, we do have pretty favorable terms with a lot of our carriers and kind of wrap that need as a value-added service into our deals. The area that we're getting ready to walk into is one of the two areas of the business along with IT asset disposition that I own, and this is our integration center. Go ahead and walk in. This center is almost exactly 20,000 square feet, dedicated to configuration and integration of client technology. From a technology perspective, I'll let you know, but it's all over the map. The traditional life cycle devices, the end user devices, as part of our optimized workplace services that you'll see in here, you will see laptops, desktops, small print, mobile, definitely some server and storage technologies, rack and stack, as you take a look inside the cabinet here. So the technology in our environment, I like to say, is really secondary. What's unique about our environment is we are very customized, yet we are very production oriented. I will tell you that these racks come in as a bare rack, and it takes us about 24 to 48 hours to have a fully functioning rack ready to turn over to the client for some additional testing. This particular client wants us to load the rack, turn the store over to them. They do some work, they hand that store back to us. We do some more work, we hand it back to them. I like to call that the dance. We do that dance with a lot of clients inside the room. This client has a fully functioning lab, and we're a store in their environment. So we have the same capabilities that they would have in a store to configure, test, use the technology inside our operation. And that really helps with a deployment and setup perspective in mind. And you can see we have several of these in flight right now. Our room is really set up, our integration center is really set up into two distinct geographies. From a geography perspective, we're really set up in a more traditional benched monitor type environment, really oriented for end user devices. But then we also have the environment where we built these racks, which is more customized for larger technology, for retail technologies, and any other large technologies that we really don't want to take back into a row. The primary services that you'll see out of this environment are absolutely, we're still doing desktop imaging, that's still happening, and laptop imaging, printer setups, mobility deployments related to mobile device management, device enrollment. We do an awful lot of casing and kitting and building in this environment. We do set up a lot of advanced technologies, and you'll see some of that as we walk out of the room. Right now, we're doing a project for a healthcare provider that's related to Cisco ENCS. So kind of a combination of a switch, a router, and kind of a server all in one. From a retail store setup perspective, we do a lot of retail deployments. We have an awful lot of experience in the financial services sector, though. From a deployment perspective, from a branch acquisition and setup perspective, from an overall lifecycle management perspective as a managed service, we've done this work for quite a while with many, many large and small financial institutions. And as a matter of fact, we always seem to have one of these in flight inside of our environment. The technicians that work in the room right now are working on a staggered one-shift operation starting at 7 a.m. Eastern. And right now we shut the lights off at 6 o'clock in the evening. We do have some SLA clients where we have very stringent, tight SLAs that require us to pick, configure, pack, and ship every day before a certain time frame. We also have other clients that work in a more managed scenario. In fact, I have one client that allows us to set up products on a bench, turn them over to a service desk that might be available. Right now, those service desks are in Eastern Europe and also in Asia Pacific and China. And then they take over the configuration process from us and then turn that product back over to us. So there are not a lot of scenarios that we won't touch in this environment. It is customized configuration, but again, with a production twist. Also, from an environment perspective, we are currently belted and benched, but we're in the process of removing that belting because we found as technology has advanced, it has limited our use of that belt, and we want to make a better use of that space. From a network layout perspective, we have fabric extenders at the end of each row that are connected to a core. We have a lot of client technology that terminates in our data centers, and we will have access to that client connection from this environment. So we have a lot of flexibility in our setup. We're VLAN for many clients, and we're able to turn up the number of ports that we need, do our work for that particular client, turn them down, and then do work for other clients. So we're very flexible in our layout and our design, and that allows us to keep our costs down as well. So that's certainly an advantage of using this environment. Currently, we have over 700 bench spots that are available to clients. Again, in that modular fashion. And we take advantage of all those bench spots, as much as we can and turn the benches. Every unit that comes into the room is subjected to quality assurance. That quality assurance can be performed by our two integration supervisors, by myself, or other members of the team that we deem experienced enough to be able to perform quality assurance tasks. Dom, Chris, you want to wave? These will be the guys that be taking care of you. I would like to talk for a second with your kind indulgence about COVID-19. COVID-19 has had a very significant impact on everyone, and we're no exception. I am very proud to say that this particular facility has not had a COVID incident. I'm also very proud to say that Pomeroy's response to COVID-19 has been one that has been thoughtful. It's been thought-provoking. It's been employee and customer focused. And you can see that in some of the things that we've done in this environment from an employee perspective, with hand washing stations, with disinfecting stations, with hand sanitizers and different supplies. We have shipped thousands of shipments to field services and deployment techs. Those shipments, like to call them care packs, contain masks, gloves, different sanitizers and cleaning agents, because we want those folks in the field to be safe when they walk into environments like yours. So we're taking steps. We continue to take steps, and we will flex with this pandemic. I can tell you that back in March, when everything hit, we saw a huge uptick in support for work from home environments. Specifically through this environment, we saw a large deployment for a couple healthcare services providers, for some financial services providers, and we also saw them in critical manufacturing and retail. And those were all met very favorably, and we have a lot of services that we're able to wrap around to support that work from home environment as part of our optimized workplace services. We're also offering at this point, as we kind of think about opening up environments, much like our own, many companies have decided that it's time to reopen and are actually being given that leverage by state and local government. And we have a temperature management and identity management solution that we're now offering to clients to help aid in that opening. Being able to take the temperatures, identify folks as they're coming in, and alert when there may be an issue from an employee perspective. So there are a lot of great services that we can offer from this environment.
Did you get a chance to kind of panorama some of the clients that we do business with and have done business with in the past?
Again, these are examples of clients that we've either done project work or managed services work with through this center, or continue to do work with in those types of environments. We put these up for several different reasons. We put them up, obviously, from a tour perspective to be able to show the breadth and depth of our experience in many different industry verticals. We also put them up because they're very recognizable. They're brands that everybody knows, that everybody uses every day. And they do span many different industry verticals, from state and local government and education to healthcare, retail and specialty retail, manufacturing, financial services. We really kind of run the gamut in here from an industry vertical perspective, and have a lot of experience in being able to support those environments. So we like to brag a little bit, and our employees certainly take that as a sense of pride. When they leave at the end of the day, they may not talk about what they did for Pomeroy that day, but they may talk about what they did for Tractor Supply, or for the Cleveland Clinic or Kroger or whoever else they may have touched that day. So it's a source of pride for us, and we've done a lot of this work over our 35 plus years of doing this. Another thing that I will mention as we kind of walk and talk is the experience of the management team in this environment. Our combined management experience from an inventory control, logistics, integration, and depot repair perspective is over 125 years combined experience. We average as a team 25 years each in this type of environment, and being able to support technology deployment, technology integration, staging, logistics, and that type of work. So we're very proud of that, and we have a lot of experience doing this work, and that experience does come in handy when presented opportunities by clients. As Steve pans a little bit more, you'll see some of our manufacturer and OEM relationships. Certainly not all of them, but many of the ones that we leverage every day to do this type of work. And we're very proud and thankful for the relationships from these OEMs, and they certainly help us to support clients like yourself. We're going to take the tour over towards our depot repair operation and show you some asset disposition testing. It's very advantageous to have our depot repair facility adjacent to our integration operation in a couple different scenarios. Again, redeployments, it's phenomenal to have that capability because we can hand product back and forth if we need to. It's also advantageous having some asset disposition testing going on in the room, because it does speed up that movement from disposition to depot or to back to integration. We will walk down here and just show you some IT asset disposition that's kind of in flight, and I'll talk a little bit more about the testing side of that business. As you can see on the screen here, these are laptops that are all being secure erased at this point. The technology that we use to do that is a White Canyon software. The actual software package is called White Drive. It supports dozens of different wipe patterns and wipe standards, not just your typical DODM or NIST. And we allow clients to pick the wipe patterns that they need. It does support spinning drives and memory-based drives. And the great thing about this product is what you can see on the screens. It gives a very visual cue to the technician to let them know that the drives have erased successfully, and does testing. If one were to fail, we would see a red screen, and that red screen would say that there's been a failure of the drive. If there is a failure of the drive, we will pull that drive, that media, out of the device. We will marry that serial number of the drive to the parent unit of the device, and then we will shred. We have an in-house shredder that we're able to shred that media with, and then report back with a certificate of destruction for that particular media device. So this is a very intuitive tool. It's a very easy to use tool. We also have the ability in this environment to wipe individual drives through a drive bay. And we also do a lot of, this is our laptop area, but we do a lot of desktop and server-based wiping as well. While we're standing here as well, we won't walk in there, and I'm gonna show you a couple very unflattering double doors if you look ahead. And the reason I wanna point that out is we're one of a handful of service providers that have the ability to do pin and chip encryption for pin and chip card reader devices. Think of them as credit card machines. So behind those double doors, we have a secure area where we can test, in some cases repair, and in a room inside there, kind of a room beyond these two doors, we have the ability to inject keys into payment devices. It's very advantageous for us from a retail support perspective to be able to do that work, but it also drives discipline into our operation from an audit perspective. We are PCI certified and have an attestation of certification and AOC with that. We are under constant audit scrutiny by any number of the payment providers that are out there, any number of card issuing banks or card providers, and many of our clients. Dick, I do believe we have an audit just about every month by somebody, correct?
At least every 6 weeks.
Plus the PCI compliance form. So
absolutely.
We're very adept at the security that's involved in dealing with this. It takes about 15 to 20 folks to be able to have a very simple room like this to be able to do that work. But again, it drives a lot of discipline into our organization and gives us a leg up on some of our competition. So we're going to turn and we're actually going to walk into our depot repair operation. As we walk from a life cycle management perspective, there is an inevitability. And that inevitability is that technology is gonna fail. It's gonna break over its life cycle. And the ways that we support that product need to be fast. They need to be cost effective, and they need to provide a level of service that customers are expecting and demanding. So we have a couple different depots on our campus. This depot that we're in right now is really our end user depot, our legacy end user depot. And this activity is really rooted in advanced exchange. We interface with our clients, could be through their service desk, could be through ours. In some cases, it is a swivel seat operation if they're not as sophisticated. We create service requests in Oracle when we get a request from a client. Right now, we take those requests up until 5 o'clock Eastern to meet a same-day SLA. And within that SLA, we will pull the product that they need from available spare pool inventory, configure and set up that product the way that the customer wants that set up. We will package that product in a box that's designed to fit in and place a return label inside that box. And the goal of the operation is to have a working piece of technology in that end user's hands, in that cashier's hands, in the teacher's hands, in that business person's hands that's getting ready to give that presentation in a hotel the next morning, have it in their hands the next morning, and then allow them a cost-effective means to return that product back to Pomeroy. We bring that product back in against that service request. We triage that product to our depot operation. We repair that product and we get it on the shelf for the next event. It is a very cost-effective, very speedy way to do this work. And the great thing about it is it doesn't have to be your sole field services strategy. You may have something in place. This can augment that. and it can do so very cost effectively. We forage stock out of these locations. We part harvest out of these operations on occasion. We can ship product out to your technicians that you may already have in the field for trunk stock or any other type of stocking need that they may have to support your end users. So this doesn't have to be the sole strategy, although it can stand alone for you. Jeff, Dick, anything to add related to depot services or anything here today?
Yeah, I'll jump in. So I'm on the outside a lot, dealing with clients, talking about solutions, things like that. And what you've seen today, I'm really a consumer of. So if you think about starting a project, trying to drive out how we're going to image, how we're going to label, how's it going to be received by the technician that's going to be doing the install, all those things that go in and get involved with that. These guys, you can see it in the passion and the delivery that they've made, but it works really well. Very flexible. Some of the things that are very important to us on the other end of it, that's getting the product on the field side, it is that it's the quality, the right image. How do I know that product, this laptop goes for this user or this laptop goes for that user? So the details and the things that these guys put in, absolutely amazing. And it really does make it easy for us on the other end, because it's easier for me to have these guys modify their process and set up for a device than it is to have 50 different technicians out in the field receiving the product at different times. I think about from an M&A, the merger and acquisition side, and being able to take out and rip out old equipment, bringing that back to here, being able to deploy the product to get them stood up and set up the way that's supposed to be. Again, this is critical component, and the accuracy and the diligence that these guys provide is top notch. So it's really a thanks to these guys, because this is really helpful for me and out in the field working with the clients and the client advocacy side. So
when you take a look at life cycle services and what we have just on this campus alone, where we have the 4 pillars and we have the integration, where they're doing all of the imaging and all of the encryption and all of the stacking and racking that you've seen. The depot repair, a lot of times we will repair client product that has large quantities in our warehouse that we find DOA in our integration department. We're able to effect a fix in this department without losing a beat, and the client never really knows about it. It's under warranty, we take care of it. So you add those two together, you got asset recovery and disposition, as Jeff was just mentioning. When you merger and acquisitions and you're bringing product in, we're doing a lot of that right now. And you look about the logistics services that surround it all, put that with the PMO, the project management office, and then our sales team and our service department that does the deploy out there, to really have it covered on this campus.